All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. To have a wonderful shopping experience, please visit your nearest Megamart Macromart branch. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
With our stunning collection of fine jewelry, gemstones, pearls and diamonds, fine pieces in timeless designs and unspoken elegance. Al Siraj Jewelry, our story, our pride.
NEC Remit. Send money online to India. Credit in seconds with great rates. Download NEC Remit app now.
വിഷമിക്കണ്ട, എല്ലാം ശരിയാവും.
ലുലു മണി, സ്നേഹപൂർവ്വം.
The exclusive franchisee of Cochin Kala Bhavan in Bahrain, with over a decade of existence in Bahrain. Exclusive online regular classes have started for classical dances, music vocal, instrumental music, cinematic dance, Kathak, Zumba body fitness, karate and yoga, drawing, arts and craft, children's theatre. For more information, please call 3909 6845 3909 4806 3885 2397 or visit www.bahrainmediacity.com. Since 2006, Magnum Imprint have been offering high standards of quality with our professional team that delivers all your advertising and promotional requirements efficiently and promptly. For more details, please contact 39887088 or 33856330 or 33542530.
All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. To have a wonderful shopping experience, please visit your nearest Megamart Macromart branch. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
A man who is into the beautiful business of spinning emotions round the reels. one who shoulders the responsibility of a space that is synonymous of entertainment to Bahrain residents. Someone behind the scenes of perhaps the most vibrant and bustling sport in Jufair. Akshay Bajaj, Chief Operating Officer of Mukta A2 Cinemas. An executive with 15 years of leading industry expertise, a dynamic and results-oriented decisive leader, Mr. Bajaj is an alumnus of Philadelphia's renowned Temple University. A major in marketing, he took to the world of cinema, starting off with the RR Films Technicolor Labs, a leading multiplex chain in India. Subsequently, he moved to London to further master the career of his choice, where he worked as a line producer for 3 years. Then followed his big career move in 2012, the Mukta A2 Cinemas, a name that is currently present in 20 locations with 48 screens and an international presence, and 6-screen multiplex in Bahrain, founded by Bollywood showman Subhash Ghai. In 2015, Bajaj set up the branch of the prestigious brand in Bahrain right from the scratch, and the rest is history. A travel and sports enthusiast, Mr. Bajaj loves the trade of cinema and finds it intriguing enough, describing it his comfort zone, yet challenging. To share with us more on the future of the business and the plans to make cinema experience a luxurious and sophisticated delight for the commoners, this evening on Best Talk from BMC Global Live, it is Mukta A2 Cinemas Chief Operating Officer Akshay Bajaj.
We are replugging after being forced for a while to unplug ourselves. Nature, in consensus with Providence, did this to mankind during the pandemic. Now, at this point of re-emerging, one sector that's crucial to human beings, entertainment. Where does the industry stand and the way forward? On Spotlight is Akshay Bajaj, Chief Operating Officer of Mukta A2 Cinemas on BizTalk from BMC Global Live. Let me start with an apology for messing up your name on the beginning. I'm so sorry, Akshay. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for taking your time off and joining us this evening on BizTalk, which brings to people success stories of business leaders.
Thank you for having us, and it's our pleasure.
Thank you. Well, as I said, the industry that you represent is one of those hard hit in the past 2 years. Before we get into those hard kind of questions, the way forward and how did we see the last year and this year, let me begin with a very simple question. My question, the public question, what does A2 stand in the Mukta A2 Cinemas?
Yeah, I'm glad you've asked that, because we've got that a lot over the last 5 years that we've been operating in Bahrain. And so it's a very simple answer, actually. The brand Mukta A2 Cinemas was a joint venture between two very well-known companies in the film business in India. That's Mukta Arts Limited and A2 Cinemas, which is a company already in the movie theater business. But they were predominantly into the single-screen cinemas. And it was a joint venture between these two companies, and hence the name Mukta A2.
But still the question remains, the A2 Cinemas, you don't know about it?
Yes, so the A2 Cinemas is, like I mentioned, it's a separate entity with a joint venture with Mukta Arts. And A2 Cinemas actually got its name, if you need to know further, from the two daughters of the director of that company. Their name started with an A, and he named it A2 Cinemas. It's actually that simple. And I hope that answers the question for a lot of people out there.
Usually, the history behind names are always, everything is on a fingertip, and Google gives an answer for everything. But this was nowhere there. I couldn't get Google to answer this.
I'm glad I could answer that for you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that great start, Mr. Bajaj. So let's move into some more of the business. Well, we heard, or from your profile, we know that you've been here right from the start of Mukta A2 Cinemas. And the place is so popular, especially among the expats, though I would not limit it to the expats. Let me begin with this question of how was it the last 2 years? Almost 18 months, isn't it? I think cinemas were one segment along with the hospitality and the travel segments that were worst hit. How is it, and what did you do during this time?
Well, of course, as everyone knows, cinemas have been in the deep end of the affected sectors.
Correct.
We were literally closed down completely for almost 18 months, and not something that was in our control, but we had to embrace it and we had to deal with it. So it's been a very challenging time. Well, as a company, what we did was we had to huddle down, of course, look at our fixed costs, and that was the only things within our control was cost. So of course, to take control of those things, but we weren't sitting on our laurels. We were, the first few months, of course, of the lockdown were very much about getting into a huddle as an industry, understanding what challenges really lay for us forward, how do we need to adapt, taking on, technological advancements in terms of being, contactless and touch-free and those various things, and online ticketing. How do we take it to the next level? Our operations, that was to be more COVID-proof. But I think in late July, we had a wonderful opportunity, which was spearheaded, of course, by the Ministry of Commerce with their support, was when we did Bahrain's first drive-in cinema.
Drive-in cinemas,
So
yes.
that was a really ambitious project for us, which we got up and running within a month. Of course, we had a local partner here, an events company called Pico International, were very good partners with us. And so that ran for about 4 months. It was a pop-up, so it was intended to run for about 2 months, but we had such a fantastic response, and since it was a brand new concept here, that we actually ran it almost to the winter. And then we had to kind of shut it down because the winter brings in logistical problems that are not really feasible to keep it running.
You mean the summer?
No, while we ran it in the summer and while you can run your AC
Okay, the
on,
winter
in
brought
the
in the
winter you
situations,
get dew and wind
Correct, yeah.
and these elements which you cannot control. So and hence we shut it down in early December, but it had a fantastic response, and hopefully in the future, you never know, leaves a window to bring it back again.
So this you are talking of 2020, right?
Yes.
So did we not try it out in 2021?
Sorry.
Did we not do it this year, this summer also?
No. So, of course, in May, it was when we got the good news that we could reopen the
it,
conventional cinemas. And I think that's when we brought our focuses and our energies back to the conventional cinema, where it needed a lot of work and effort, and we needed to talk to our audience to really bring them back to the cinemas. And it's been a slow and long road, but we are seeing the fruits of it now.
Great. But how do you look at it? Because when you took to drive-in cinemas, do you think that was catering only to a certain criteria or certain group, unlike the regular cinemas?
Yes, it's a very different concept in terms of how you run the business.
Because you need to drive in, isn't it? You
Yeah,
definitely need
of
to have a
course.
car.
Of course, yeah, you need to drive in, you need to have a car, which I think most people, do have a mode of transport that they can reach there by, but also the movies that are screened in the drive-in are more retrospective.
Correct.
They were, at that time, they were releases of early 2020, which hadn't really been caught by everyone in the cinema, so we were showing some of that. We were showing also retro English movies as old as Back to the Future and Casablanca and stuff like that. Now, the audience is very different in terms of who comes in, because in the conventional indoor cinema, week on week, we've got hardcore movie followers coming in to watch the new releases.
The new releases.
Whereas the drive-in, there was a novelty factor. It was Bahrain's first drive-in. It was done on a really grand scale. It was, I think, the hottest thing that was happening in Bahrain at the moment. And so people were coming in for experiencing the cinema, the drive-in experience, more than really watching the movies, because these are movies that they watched, but they came to experience it and watch it in the setting of a drive-in. So it's very different audience conventionally. But yeah, I think drive-in has a great future.
I was about to ask you. So
the pandemic hasn't done many good things to our industry, but one thing is it has revived drive-in cinema.
So do you really see that hybrid again in the cinema industry of drive-in and theater watchers?
Well, let's see. Definitely, this is the start. Globally, there have been thousands of drive-in cinemas that have opened. Of course, most of them were pop-ups to fill the gap while the cinemas were closed. But we do see a large number, even as recently as last week, just with the release of Suryavanshi, which is the big ticket Diwali release. We have PVR cinemas, who are some of our compatriots in India, who just opened Mumbai's first drive-in cinema at Geo Drive, which is in Bandra Kurla complex, and it's got such great reviews. So you never know, and maybe the drive-ins are back for a certain amount of audience.
Right. Yeah, that would be interesting, And this industry or cinemas, the fans of cinemas remain that always, isn't it? I myself am a movie goer every weekend. As you said, the new releases used to be, we used to really look forward to, and the pandemic upset the entire, and yeah, you're right. What's your take on OTT, by the way? That's one thing which has come up, isn't it, in the last...
I think if it's another question that we get really often after the pandemic, it is, of course, the very conventional question of OTT, And I think my take on it is that going forward, OTT will have its own space. We must understand that OTT saw a major spike in film content acquisition and hence viewership only because the cinemas were closed. We must understand that eventually the movie industry is a business, and there were producers who have, invested great amounts of money and have bank liabilities, and they need an option. Not everyone is able to hold on for theatrical release. So that was more of a stop-go option that they chosen at the moment. But moving forward, I feel OTT is always something that's going to exist. It'll just have its own space. It's been there before the pandemic, and it will always be there, and I'm sure it'll have its own growth. But there's going to be a certain amount of content that is going to be for OTT, and theatrical movies are going to always belong to the cinema. I think movies are made by filmmakers with the vision of it being seen on a cinema screen.
Big screen.
Yeah, everything from the cameras they use to the sound engineering to the scale that's given out there is made with the point of view of an audience watching it on a big screen. And hence I think there's no other place to watch a movie than the cinema. And this past week, since the cinemas in India have opened, and with the release of Rajnikant's Annathe and with Akshay Kumar's Suryavanshi, both crossing over 100 crores within just a few days, I think the writing is on the wall. The cinemas are back, and the audience have pretty much voiced their opinion loud and clear that that's where they want to watch the movies.
Right.
So,
You're very right, because during the pandemic, sitting at home, I'm one person who went back watching Bahubali again on the TV screen. The difference is massive, seeing it on a big screen. So certain movies, you really need to watch it out there. And even I'm hopeful that, it's full-fledged back. Before we go into your journey with Mukta Cinemas, tell us, now we are in green zone in Bahrain, and we are almost like normal, but still I think movies are on 50%, isn't it? How is Mukta A2 Cinemas ready to, you use the phrase COVID-free or the infection-free? What are the things that you've taken care of as we reopen?
Of course, there's various measures that we have kept in place. Way before the cinemas reopened, we were very ready with this. And starting all the way from the customer journey, we have really looked at it from the customer journey point of view. And so at the very beginning is, of course, procuring tickets. We have really advanced our ticket booking process, which is, and we're really heavily marketing it. We have seen almost a 5-fold adoption, technology adoption in terms of booking tickets online. Even if you were to book a ticket at the cinema itself, there's contactless means where you get a ticket on your mobile, a QR code, you scan it, it's contactless. We've also given the customers the option to book all their food and beverage online when they buy their ticket, and that way when they come to the counter, they have a ready order, they just flash their mobile, we have the order details, and they're served completely in a contactless way. As far as the seating capacity and social distancing of the customer journey once he's inside the cinema, of course we're limited to a 50% occupancy as of now, and we have to leave 2 seats on either side of any given group booking.
Even if it is it's a family, how does it work?
Yeah, so the rule states that a group booking, there must be 2 seats left on either side of a group booking.
Of the groups.
So you're more than welcome to, come with your family. And a lot of people actually, we got this query a lot, that, am I allowed to sit with my family? And, and the answer to that is absolutely yes. Yes. You are allowed to sit with your friends, your family, and be rest assured that there will be sufficient space between you and the next group that's
Okay, but the group can sit together. That's my
Sure,
question.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Right.
So we've really, even everything, like I said, social distancing markers within the cinema, temperature checks. Of course, one very big element is that only vaccinated people are allowed in the cinema. So there's very stringent checks on that as well. And we've really tried to ensure, we're trying to communicate with our audience a lot, with our guests. And I think we've been largely successful because we've had a great response.
Do you see that confidence in the public?
Definitely. From May up until now, where I think we've closed only for a few months again when we had the second surge.
Yeah, the second surge.
But or we can see the audience is very comfortable to come back. I think over the first few months, the word of mouth of the audiences who came to the cinema, who saw the preparations that we had made, the measures that we had in place. I think that's worked, and the word of mouth is out there, and people are coming in larger numbers now. And still maintaining the social distancing and following all the rules that are in place.
Great. Okay. So, very interesting topic, and on BizTalk this evening is Akshay Bajaj, the COO of Mukta A2 Cinemas. More in store after a break.
All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. To have a wonderful shopping experience, please visit your nearest Megamart Macromart branch. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
With our stunning collection of fine jewelry, gemstones, pearls and diamonds, fine pieces in timeless designs and unspoken elegance. Al Siraj Jewelry, our story, our pride.
NEC Rabbit.
Welcome back to BizTalk from BMC Global Live, and this evening with me is Mukta A2 Cinemas Chief Operating Officer Akshay Bajaj. Akshay, tell us about your journey with this cinemas, the Mukta A2 Cinemas, a brand that it's renowned global presence, and even in Bahrain, I think even a child knows Mukta. Jufair is known for that. The cinema experience, the space, the luxury, everything. But your journey will be something different, isn't it? Something personal. Tell us about it.
Firstly, thank you for your kind words on how people perceive the cinema. It's always good to hear that.
Indeed. No jokes, because Mukta is a place where we would, at least the expats, I'm sure. We are a Mukta fan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to my personal journey, I have been with the company since day one. It was in 2010 that the merger was done between Mukta Arts and A2 Cinemas. And we had our first 2 properties that we signed in Ahmedabad and Baroda in India. And it's been a long journey since then. So initially, of course, I was involved into various things. I was more spearheading the marketing department and doing business development. At that time, the company was still growing. Well, we had the support and we had the goodwill of, Mr. Subhash Ghai and the legacy of Mukta Arts behind us. So we had to really grow the company. And my initial days were more focused on expansion. We had to go out there, and I would be basically visiting malls across the country and identifying the correct properties, running feasibility studies, and then going into an acquisition phase. And once the acquisition would go, we would process the team into an execution of construction and then operations. But thereon, once those things settled down, I have been more involved with expansion. That was my core. And expansion, and then I got into business development, where I was basically growing departments like F&B, which is a very important and critical department in cinemas, which a lot of people also would be, I think, quite inquisitive to know, is that the movie business is actually, the cinema business is more an F&B business than a movie business. So, of course, the F&B...
Because the interval is the time, right? The families
interval
wait
before the movie,
for the movies, the popcorns and the
yeah,
drinks.
sure.
Yeah.
That's where the cinema revenue streams really lie, and profitability comes in from F&B. But yeah, so we were then, just as the company was expanding and we were becoming more of a pan-India chain, we needed standardization, and we needed, marketing standardization, food pricing standardization, and my concentration was more on building those verticals, advertising, and various other verticals. And I think it was in 2014 that our principals signed on the Bahrain property with, of course, we had a great partner here, Mr. Varghese Kurian, who's so well known here and was so welcoming to us, and with all his support. And we came in here, and since then, it's in 2015 that I moved to Bahrain to get the property going. I was only supposed to be here for 4 months.
Okay.
And I think people hear that about a lot of expats who are here for a very long time, that I came here for a short period of time. And my story is no different.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I fell in love with Bahrain. And so I came here for 4 months, became 6, 8, 10, 12, and it's 6 years, I'm still here. So, and of course, I love Bahrain, and we launched the property here in 2016. And it's just been upwards and onwards from there, about establishing the brand in its space. And like you mentioned, of course, we do cater as a cinema to all nationalities, all languages, and to all ages. We're a business and for consumption of everyone. Everyone loves movies, and so we are for everyone, but we do tend to have a larger patronage through the Asian expat communities who have really embraced Mukta A2 Cinemas as a space of their own.
Indeed.
And I think it's their comfort level and their loyalty that's really got us where we are.
That's a word, the comfort zone, indeed.
And I think that's really why what we really cater to keep in place through our operations team. We have a great team in place. Our team does a wonderful job. We like everyone. We like to see familiar faces all the time, and we want our audiences to see familiar faces at our cinema.
Right.
So that's really worked well for us. And the point was to really build on that. And yeah, so that's as far as my personal journey from 2010 to now 2021, barring the 1 year that we could not operate. It's been almost 10 years.
So 2016 to 2021, what's the future? Do we see any more expansions of your business in Bahrain or in the region?
So we have something exciting coming up in Bahrain. I just can't talk about it yet. I wish I could. But inshallah, soon we will be able to announce something. And other than that, Mukta Arts has been very clear from the time that we came to Bahrain. Of course, we want to serve the community here. It is our priority. And we would also like to expand as a company into the region. So we are looking at, of course, a very new sunrise market is Saudi Arabia. So we are looking at our opportunities in Saudi Arabia as well. We're looking at Kuwait as well. And that is in terms of the future going forward. Right.
What took you to cinema?
Okay. Well, funnily enough, my family business, my father's was a film distributor all his life.
Okay.
Worked very closely with Mukta Arts actually. And so, Mukta has been a family concern to me for my life. We've had very close relations. And I think it was very organic. So I think I got into movie production, and I did actually backward integration as far as the value chain is concerned. So I was more into production, and then I came into the retail side of cinemas. There was a company called Technicolor. It's a very big company globally.
Yeah,
They're a film lab, and I was doing 3D lenses, converting single screen cinemas in India into multiplexes, and while then we were converting them from 2D cinema to 3D cinema, and that's how I got into the cinema space. And in 2010 is when the merger happened, and I joined the team of Mukta A2 Cinemas.
Right. Do you have a personal goal in your life linked to this industry that you're working with?
Well, absolutely. I'm a very ambitious person, and I'd like to believe that. And I think it's important to have that so that you can set yourself some goals and really work each day towards achieving them. So, and I love movies. I love what I do. This movie, I've grown up in the movie space, so I couldn't be more thankful that I've actually got the opportunity to work and do something in this industry. And I think the pandemic has given me the biggest goal at the moment, which is to prove to the world and to show everyone that cinema is, there's so many questions on the cinema business and the future of cinema. And so in the short term, of course, the goals are to really bring the life back into the movie theaters. And moving forward, in the longer term, is of course to grow the company to new heights. That is something that is very critical to us, and that is the way forward.
Right. Though you touched upon Bahrain, but let me come back again on Bahrain. What is, you must have definitely done your feasibility study before coming over to Bahrain, and Bahrain would have given you that vibes, isn't it? Which is why you're here today. How have you seen Bahrain growing over this 5 years, or from what you studied, and where do you think the country is heading towards in entertainment industry?
See, I think a feasibility study that any business does in before entering, especially for us where we were entering a brand new market, and there was a lot of unknown and stuff like that, and you try and cover all the markers that you can, and then from there onwards, a feasibility study is your best estimation. Well, you hit the ground running. Some things, hopefully, most of the things do pan out that way, and some things may not. And the challenge that you have of really setting up the business in the first few years is to adapt to those few things that haven't fallen in place. So, and I think Bahrain has been, it's a wonderful place. It's a very straightforward place to do business because the government is so welcoming. Indeed. And so, we had a lot of support from the government when we came in, from the ministries, from the Economic Development Board. So we really felt comfortable. We didn't have too many hurdles. Like I said, we had a great partner in our mall developer, which is VKL Universal. So we really had a lot of support. And when we opened, I think we were a little bit overwhelmed with how quickly people embraced us. We thought we really had to work our way up, because Bahrain was not a country which had it's not like a very populated market where you have cinemas constantly opening, malls coming up. I think there was a long period of time before we came that Bahrain maybe had not had a new cinema.
Correct.
Of course, everyone very well knows our other competitors, but there was a long gap. And I think we were it was a kind of a breath of fresh air, a new location, a new cinema. So people really embraced it, and the patronage was amazing. Since then, I have seen Bahrain, of course, I think it has only grown. The amount of, because since we are in the entertainment space, we are always looking at what's happening in the entertainment space and F&B, and so much development, so many new areas, so much development all over the place, and so many more expats coming in, which really adds to us as a cinema business.
Innovation is the word, right, nowadays.
Absolutely.
And you just mentioned about the competition. There are competitors, and I think tight competition, isn't it? Every other mall has cinemas. What kind of audience do you see in your cinemas, and how do you, or what are the perks that you offer for your audience to keep them glued to Mukta A2 Cinemas?
See, I think as a market anywhere, each cinema has its own catchment. We're not really, we are more compatriots than competitors. We're not really competing with each other. A Seif Mall has a different catchment as compared to what Jafar has, or maybe Muharrak has. People do tend to choose a cinema by the mall, by the distance from their home, the ease of parking. These are very important deciding factors. Price, service, these of course, everything matters, but these are the first few parameters that people look at. So I don't think we're really competing with each other, but you have to find your own niche, you have to find your own audience, you have to build on it, and that's how we went about it. We had to, not really see the audience that's going to City Center or Seif Mall or anywhere in SAR or Muharraq, but we had to really look at what our audience was, what our catchment was, and build off on that. Right. And I would like to believe we've successfully done it, and that we'll keep continuing to do it.
Very good. All the best on that. So those who joined just now on BizTalk, that is Mr. Bajaj, the COO of Mukta A2 Cinemas. Well, to sum it up, Mukta A2 Cinemas, like the rest of the movie houses, are ready to welcome all of you back with all these social distancing and other measures as per the guidelines ready out there. So feel free to walk in, isn't it?
Yes, I'd just like to tell your viewers that, we're here to welcome you back. We're absolutely prepared. And I'm sure on the very first visit back, I think it's very easy to feel the energy in the cinema of really a whole bunch of people enjoying coming back and watching their favorite actors on the big screen, with that loud sound and music. And
Indeed.
I think it's a space that can never be taken away. And,
Yes. And I
the love of cinema will always be there.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the perks, the positives of the pandemic. Like, we really get to know what we were missing, isn't it?
Yes.
This is something that let's take a short break and get back.
Send money online to India. Credit in seconds with great rates. Download NEC Remit app now.
വിഷമിക്കണ്ട എല്ലാം ശരിയാവും.
ലുലു മണി സ്നേഹപൂർവ്വം.
The exclusive franchisee of Cochin Kala Bhavan in Bahrain. With over a decade of existence in Bahrain, exclusive online regular classes have started for classical dances, music vocal, instrumental music, cinematic dance, Kathak, Zumba body fitness, karate and yoga, drawing, arts and craft, children's theatre. For more information, please call 3909 6845 3909 4806 3885 2397 or visit www.bahrainmediacity.com.
Welcome back to BizTalk from BMC Global Life, and this evening with me is Akshay Bajaj, the Chief Operating Officer of Mukta A2 Cinemas. Thank you very much, Akshay, for taking us through your journey with Mukta, the movie business, the entertainment, etc., etc., etc. And now what remains in this last segment of this beautiful evening chat is to know you as a person. If you don't mind, tell us about your family, please.
Well, of course, I hail from Bombay. I've been born and brought up in Mumbai. And so I come from there. My parents, of course, are in India. They live in India. My wife I just got married last year. Pandemic wedding. So that's
okay.
That was one of the eventful things when you asked me what did you do during the pandemic.
Right.
One of the bigger things was
Okay.
that. So of course I met my beautiful wife in Bahrain itself, and
So sweet.
so we just got married last year.
What's her name?
Her name is Chella Marie.
Okay, she's here.
She's in Bahrain.
Okay.
And so we're here, and so that's as far as the family life is.
All right. So do you watch movies at Mukta A2 cinemas?
I should do it more often. I think I've stopped doing it a bit. But I had a rule at a point where every movie I wanted to watch, I would choose a new location.
In Bahrain?
Yeah. So I would watch, if I watched the movie at our cinema, the next one would be at, another cinema, because it just gave me a way to experience
Explore,
the competition
understand,
and understand and see what others are doing, just how you need to keep abreast of the market.
Okay.
So I actually kind of try and do that as much. Also, funnily enough, since it's personal, it's not very easy for me to watch a movie at Mukta. Because it's like asking a chef whether on his day off whether he would go eat in his own restaurant. The thing is, it's so objective because I'd be observing the temperature and is the sound too loud?
Yeah, it'll be more in. Yeah,
so I'm not really. My attention wouldn't go to the movie and like, is everyone okay? And is the audience all right? I hope. So hence, just on a very personal note.
All right.
That's one thing, but I do tend to watch a movie at everywhere.
Right. Tell me one experience from your such going out to other places or other cinemas. Is there anything that you picked from there, or anything that you felt that this could make your cinema better?
Oh, certainly. I think. See, everyone is evolving, and it's very important to recognize and respect the competition that's out there. Unless we do that, I'm not going to be able to really learn, adapt, and better ourselves. So I think. It may not be on every visit, but as a whole, you absorb what's going out there. You absorb not only what the cinema is doing, but you also absorb what the audiences there are really looking for. What are they there for? And you try and imbibe that into your everyday working strategies as well. So we're always constantly doing that, whether it be F&B offerings, whether it be, could be ticket pricing as well. Could be what kind of content is a certain location showing, and how is it working for them? And should we try that? And does it work for us? And then study that. So I think we're constantly trying to do that.
Okay. What is your personal choice of movies? Like, what genre do you like, or is there anything specific, or you just watch anything or everything?
Like I said, I love movies. Of course, my favorite genres are, I love inspirational stories. I love aspirational stories. So sports drama, sports action, that's one of my favorite genres. And of course, typically the superhero, I'm a big Marvel fan, so I love the superhero movies, the big budget action. Like I said, I'm a cinema guy. So I love the movies that are made for the big screen, and it gives you that visual experience. There's nothing like it.
Since you are a cinema guy, do we see you somewhere behind the screens or something into real making of a cinema or something in future?
No. I think I've dabbled with that in the past, and I've really found that cinema exhibition is what I love. I love the business side of it.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what really gets me going.
Because since you said, you're from a family and you've seen and you've been in and around the reels, so you don't know. That's why I just asked.
No, I've tried it, and I think it's an interest. Every line is interesting, but I think I've found my sweet spot, if I may say so, in cinema exhibition. I really love this, and every week is a new week with movies. We get, we get into the office every week, every Sunday, and we're marketing movies, we're making strategies out there. It's I just love doing it.
What is your typical day like? Like, how is your day, one day, if you want?
Not too different from,
Are you a very organized person, like timetable kind of life? Or
yes and no. Yes and no. I'm like that about a few things, but I also like to keep a window open for spontaneity. I like things, I don't want to be too rigid in my ways and my thoughts and principles, unless I'm open to listening to my team. Again, like I said, we have to learn. And so I keep that window open to be flexible. And I am very particular about a few things, or more than a few things, as my team would like to believe. But I think it's a balance.
Right. Other than cinema, do you have any other passion or hobbies? I don't know, like when people enjoy their job, that itself is in taking your time. But other than that, do you do anything else?
No, of course. I think it's very important, how much ever you love your job, to also, walk away from it and to kind of, take your break and do things outside of it. So, of course, I'm very passionate about a few sports. I love traveling. I think my number one passion is traveling. I try to do it as often as I can. Of course, again, the pandemic hasn't helped there, but things are back now. So traveling is the thing that me and my wife both love so much, so we're always doing that. I love sports. I'm a Formula One fan.
Okay.
I must drop a little personal thing to you here. It was maybe part of the reasoning of keeping me in Bahrain.
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
It was
yeah.
like, my sport coming to my town, and it really gives me a good connect. I go for the races every year with great enthusiasm. So sports, traveling, these are predominantly, and movies, of course. Watching movies outside the space is one of my biggest passions.
Great. That was a beautiful evening chat. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed as well, and I hope our audience enjoyed as well. Can I have your wrapping comments while I say thank you from Team BMC for joining us?
No, I'd firstly just like to thank you for, having me here.
For messing up your name. Sorry
again.
Oh,
no, please, no worries, no worries. That's not important. And, but yeah, I would just like to say thanks for having us. I think BMC Global is doing a great job, really bringing a variety of people across the board to the audiences, and I think that's a great job. And thank you for having us here, and I hope our show today gives a little bit of a message to the viewers there and reminds them why they should come back to the cinemas.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Bajaj. Thank you so much. Though befittingly this evening chat should be concluded with the famous Bollywood adage, "Picture abhi bhi baki hai mere dost," I would want to borrow from John Keats. Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Wishing all the very best for Mukta A2 Cinemas and its Chief Operating Officer Akshay Bajaj to gift the industry that entertains common man a glorious future in Bahrain. From BMC Global Live, it's good night from Raji Unikrishnan. Until next week. Mr. Bajaj, thank you for joining us this evening. We have a small token of appreciation. May I request Mr. Francis, the chairman of BMC,
Thank you so much.
to gift you the memento, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Since 2006, Magnum Imprint have been offering high standards of quality with our professional team that delivers all your advertising and promotional requirements efficiently and promptly. For more details, please contact 39887088 or 33856330 or 33542530.